While in Kansas, the Aumann team stopped to see Jerry Toews, an early engine collector. Jerry owns one of the earliest internal combustion engines designed by Otto Langen and Nicholas Otto. This is a full-scale replica of the original design first built in 1867. Jerry's engine was built by Wayne Grenning.
1867, during that time frame, steam engines were in their glory days, and the steam people thought the people that were fooling around with old gas engines were absolutely crazy, that it would never be successful. But you can see what happened to the steam engine. The gas engine is kind of taken over. So it's transmitting the power to the flywheel on the downward stroke.
So is that clutch engages when it comes down on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
The clutch wheel Alex mentions freewheels on the shaft as the piston moves downward. Once the engine fires, it shoots the piston upward. It's the force of the piston moving downwards that engages the clutch and spins the pulley. This is the same technology used in pull starts for small engines like a chainsaw.
Yeah, because the explosion, it freewheels going up.
Right.
And then it engages, and it's just like if you try to pull a piston out of a closed cylinder, it wants to go back down.
Right, right.
That's where the power is transmitted to the phone. Wayne did just an incredible job. The machine work is just unbelievable. And this journal right here, this is 1,000 pages of his process of building this.
Wow.
Wayne started by building 1/3 scale models of the engine and eventually decided to build a full-size replica. Wayne did extensive research and spent years building and machining all the parts. In the end, he decided to build only 2 full-size models. The engine runs on hydrogen gas and produces just half a horsepower.
It's not a mix. It's just straight hydrogen. Okay.
We run this on straight hydrogen. Yeah. He has some of those up there that he mixes his fuel, but
You would never guess that many gears are turning.
I know.
To produce a half horsepower.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a lot of machine
It's
for having
so
horsepower.
little noise for all the movement that's happening right now.
Yeah, you kind of hear those gears ringing just a little bit.
Just barely.
Yeah. On this rack gear, as it's descending, it has that little leg sticking out. Now it's going to push this lever down.
Mm-hmm.
And when it pushes that lever down right there, that's what releases that tall. There. Runs that side. Now you got that back up in the air again, and it's just freewheeling there.
We're saying that he's actually sucking it down into the
Yeah,
into
it's the
cylinder.
suction until it kind of neutralizes, and then that very last,
That's when it fires again.
yeah.
The engine works on atmospheric pressure, meaning the changing of the temperature from hot to cold and the weight of the piston and flywheel push the piston downward. When the piston reaches the bottom of the cylinder, a valve opens, letting the fire into the cylinder that ignites and then pushes the piston upwards. Unlike a modern 4-cycle engine where the piston is attached to the connecting rod and crankshaft, this piston is not attached to a connecting rod or a crankshaft. Instead, the piston is only attached to a ratcheting rod that engages when the piston fires upward.
The drawback to this engine was that it was very inefficient. So Otto continued experimenting, trying to make an engine that didn't take as much fuel to create more horsepower. And so he experimented and experimented, and he finally decided that having compression would really increase the horsepower. But he was really kind of afraid But eventually, he came up with the four-cycle idea. This was 1867, and in the early 70s, like about 1872, he started experimenting with four-cycle engine. By 1878, he came out with the slide valve engine. It used compression. It had intake, the four strokes that we know today, intake of fuel, compression, then ignition happens, and there's the explosion in the cylinder, and we have the power stroke, and then we have the exhaust stroke. And so, well, I'll shut this off and I'll show you what that means.
Next time, we'll check out Jerry's slide valve engines, dig through a dusty building for treasures in California, and discuss vintage harvesting machines.